And I'm live. Good evening, everybody. So I'm working on the same page that I was last week. This is a page from my webcomic, Age of Night. This is chapter 22, page 21. I finished penciling it after last week's stream. But if you haven't figured out by looking at this top panel what is going on this page, I'm still not going to tell you. I've masked a couple of the final panels, and we won't be getting to those tonight because I don't want to give away what's happening on this page because it's not going to be posted to the website for a little while yet. I mean, really, the first panel is actually a spoiler if you're paying close attention, but it might not be if you're not paying that close of attention. I already did a fair amount of the work with the... Oh, now I just threw a French curve on the floor. Welcome to the disaster show. I already did a fair amount of the work that I needed to do with my straight edge. I think I've pretty much finished with the straight edge. I might have one or two little places I still need to do. Ooh, I just spotted a couple. I'll do those. But I did most of it ahead of the stream because it's very slow and boring, and I have to wait in between passes for ink to dry. Otherwise, I'll be dragging my triangle through wet ink and making a huge mess, which I don't want to do, which you can see I had at least one little accident there prior to streaming. Like you do. I've had these particular tools since college. They've held up really well. It's just a piece of plastic with perfectly straight edges, and the edge also doesn't go all the way to the paper. There's a little bit of a gap. Like this edge is beveled here a little bit so that it's not hitting all the way down to the paper. So unless your pen is really overloaded with ink, like it was right there, then it shouldn't bleed right onto the paper from the edge of the plastic, which is a pretty clever design. And I dropped my French curve, and now I need to retrieve it. I don't know where it went. I don't know. I'll have to use my other French curves. You see it? Can you get it? My husband's going to assist me so that I don't knock my camera over trying to reach it. Got it? Oh, thank you. Okay. That's the one I wanted. See, they come in lots of different fun shapes and sizes, and this is the one I end up using the most. This one's really good, especially for big, long, open curves, but tighter curves like what I need to ink here, it's not quite as useful for. Like that little curve right there. So basically just move the French curve around until you find a place where the curve that you need matches the curve that the tool is lining up with it. And now I have to try to avoid that spot until it dries. I'm gonna come over here. A lot of times you'll only be able to do like, come back and do the other half later. Oh, I need more. All right, so while those parts are drying, I'm gonna come back up here and try really hard not to drag my hand through what I just worked on. Oh no, my mask is trying to come off. Oh no, I need more tape. Don't do that. Don't spoil the surprise. Get some more drafting tape on there. Don't you do that. All right, I'm gonna come back up here and work on this particular one. Get some of that fetching texture in there. Some of these little details that I I mean, I probably could use a straight edge for, but it's really not necessary. They're so tiny. If they're not 100% straight, it's not really the end of the world. Get some more of this texture up in there. Little side of that architectural piece that I still didn't figure out the name of. I think it's a dormer. I still don't know. I didn't actually look that up. I should have, since I forgot last time what it was called. Little shutters. I'm gonna have to go back in and white out that blob later. Hang on, I'm going for a ride. Side edges of those windows. Oh, my spider friend is coming to visit. The small spider that lives on my desk. He's coming. Oh, you gonna come into? Oh, you went under the paper? That's not a good place to be. Spider. Here he comes. Oh, there he is. My little spider friend. All right, yeah, okay, yeah, that's not, you're not helping. That's not helping. Please go somewhere less hazardous. Don't get in the ink. You won't like that, I promise. No, don't be like that. Now he's all defensive. You're interrupting my stream. Come on. No, come on. No, don't get in the ink. All right, you can go over here. Please go find something else to do with yourself. There we go. All right. I don't want to just fill these windows in black because this is like the middle of the day and that'll look kind of weird with them if they were like all the way complete just pools of darkness. It needs to look a little bit dark inside because they don't have lighting, so it's darker inside than outside, so it looks kind of dark, but it doesn't need to look pitch black. And door frame. And the door. A little bit of wood texture on the door. Darkness in the doorway. Oops, I'm scooting right out of frame. Let's get back down here where you can see. Grass. A lot of the pages that I do for Age of Night are really, really dark, and so it's like always a challenge to make myself not over render things for daylight scenes. Like just provide a little bit of texture without it getting too overdone and getting too dark. Stay. Trying to find just the right balance there. I guess I'm working on this little light cart now. I somehow ended up over here. This guy, just gonna ink this little farmer guy driving the hay cart. Being pulled by what is totally a horse, I swear. Shadow on the road under the cart. Here we go. Nice little hay cart. Figure jumping out of the back of the hay cart. Oops, I never drew a shadow under. I guess it's time for me to make that now. More grass. I'm going to finish this line of grass and then do some more of the French curve stuff down in that other panel. Some of this stuff can get a little bit tedious. So I find it helps to jump around on the page a little bit sometimes. Keeps me from getting bored and losing focus and getting sloppy. Okay, back over here. Match some more of these curves. Turn the page all the way around. Make you dizzy. Let's do that one first. All right. Yeah, you can see why, with as little as you can do in one pass sometimes, why I did a lot of that before the stream started, because that takes forever. Come back up here. Try not to drag my sleeve through what I just worked on. We'll come over here. On this area. Pull that down so you can see what I'm doing better. Making a fence. What? Is it? Oh. The hair's in the frame? Really? I can't look to see if you're messing with me while I'm doing this. Really? Oh, you've all been treated to the top of my head, I guess. The way my computer monitor is positioned, I cannot look while also looking at what I'm doing. I have to look off to the side to look at that. All right. Grass, the shadow of a fence in the grass. More grass texture. Try not to overdo it too much here. All right, work on some trees. I'll give them kind of broken edges because these are pretty far back in the background. I really don't want them being too bold in front and center. And as they get further back, further away, do even less. More of these vague suggestions of trees back here. I'm trying to decide how I want to handle these trees up front here. See, normally I would do these as a brush, but I'm afraid it will make them a little bit too pull them too far forward. So I think these ones I might do nib. I'll do like this tree over here brush and this greenery up front brush. I don't really want this line back here to be like popping straight forward. I don't want it to come too far forward. So we're gonna do that in nib and let it kind of go back a little more, even if that does mean it's more work for me. More ink. Did you hear that? I'm not sure if that noise you made was yes or I didn't hear you.
Are you talking about the vortex of doom?
Yeah, I heard the vortex of doom happening. The vortex of doom. Yeah, pellet stove. And so it creates the vortex of doom. There's still plenty of pellets in the hopper, but they all form this funnel formation so that there's none actually feeding into the auger. And they're all up on the sides. The vortex of doom. And you'll when it's doing it, you'll hear like one or two pellets slide out of the formation. And then it's like, oh, it's doing that thing. Alright, similar to what I did with the trunks down here, I'm going to start going just a little bit lighter. Define the outline a little bit less. There we go. We have a lovely line of trees fading back. Okay. Let's come back over here. Do a little bit more of this. Getting there. Got one little part of this curve I haven't closed up yet. There we go. Clean my pen off. Take a sip of tea. All right. Stay down. Spoilery little thing. Back up here, getting some road texture in here. Road. This is one spot where the perspective grid, even though I'm not like really super actively using it, it's helping me keep all this texture in line so that it doesn't warp the road and therefore flatten it out. Because texture need to be kept in perspective too, or else they make whatever it is you're putting texture on look not right. Usually it just flattens them out and makes them look like a weird shape in the middle of your drawing instead of what they're supposed to be. All right. Road. Stop. Goodness. Come back over here and work on this building more. Try to keep my hand out of the part of the road I just inked. More thatched roof. Because I like to do things to myself like go, oh, look at this building a thatched roof. It'll be really cute. And then I have to draw it a million more times. And then I go, why did I do that? Has anyone figured out yet where this is from? What this building is that we have seen earlier in the story? If you have, then my masking the bottom two panels is kind of silly and useless, but just in case you haven't, I didn't want to spoil the surprise. All right. Whoops. Back into frame, you. So I've been getting back into the groove of doing this every week, but of course next week I won't be here, so I won't be able to do a stream. Next week I will be at PAX Unplugged, which is super exciting. I have never been to PAX Unplugged before. It's the first time I'm going to get to go. Made possible mostly with the help of my buddy Doug, who has Victory Condition Gaming, which is another channel on YouTube you should totally check out. And together we came up with this somewhat absurd line of clothing called Dumpstat Tees. And thankfully, our friends at Game and a Curry agreed to carry Dumpstat Tees, be our official vendor of our product at PAX Unplugged. So that's pretty exciting. Trying to keep this in frame. It keeps on trying to scoot away from me. But yeah, if you're going to PAX Unplugged, I will be there all weekend. I'll have to look around and say hi. I'd love to say hi and chat and play games. Hoping to actually meet some folks face to face that I don't normally get to see in person. Only get to see on the internet. Finish up this little fence back here. Again, it's further back, so we don't want to go too crazy on the details there. I want to let it kind of fade back there. Oh, I gotta work on this wood pile. I don't want to do that. It's supposed to be there, but I don't want to have to draw it. All right, here we go. We're drawing all the little logs. Although really, once I get through this wood pile, there's not a lot left in this panel that needs to be done with the nib inking. A couple of things, the tree and the shrubs, I'll come back and do with brush, but it'll mostly be done. There we go. And there's the log pile. That wasn't so bad. Grass. More grass. Lots of grass texture. This stage of inking is almost always what takes the longest for any given comic page. Pencils and brush inking and lettering almost never take anywhere near as long as doing nib inking because of all this stuff. At least the way I do comics. I mean, other people do comics in ways where this is not a concern at all. Not everybody feels the need to do this to themselves, which is probably fine. They're probably much smarter than I am. All right, got this one little area back here. And this first panel, anyway, will be done. This is really far back, so we're not going to get too detailed. It's just going to be kind of vague areas of different shading. It hopefully still looks like wood. There we go. All right, so first panel, I've done all the nib work that I can really do. So I'm going to be moving on. What are we at for time? 9:47. Not too much longer. Oh, there's a giant hair stuck to my pen. Get those shutters finished up. And window frames. Alright. This dark wood framing here. And darken up those windows. And the doorstop rock. Gotta have the doorstop rock. Oh, that time I know I hit the camera. Whoops. Sorry. Sorry. That was my big fat head hitting the camera. Whoops. Alright. Keeping those textures in with the perspective. In this case, a 1-point perspective. Because everything's going toward this character walking in the door. Because it's just so important. Maximum drama. And we're in the last 10 minutes of the stream. So I'm going to start doing that thing where I tell you about all the things. I already told you about PAX Unplugged. I'm excited to be there next weekend. And if you happen to be there too, we should say hi. That would be fun. I'll be at the Game and Curry booth some of the weekend. I'll be wandering around gaming and chatting with people for most of the weekend. But just like hit me up on Twitter and we'll figure it out if you want to say hi. Which on Twitter, I am at Age of Night. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Amanda Call Art. Age of Night has a Facebook page, and the website itself, of course, is where you get new comics every Wednesday. This one will be up in a couple of weeks. And that's Age of Night, just like it says in the title of this video. I'll put a link in the thingy, too. That's my webcomic. That's what this is going to. You could, oh, come on. There's a Give me ink. What is this? There we go. You can also support me on Patreon if you so choose. That's patreon.com/Age of Night. And if you're watching this video and you haven't already, you should subscribe, because then it'll let you know when I'm going to do one of these live streams, which should be most of the time on Saturday night, possibly a different day time. I'm still trying to figure out what works best there. What gets the most people a chance to watch live. So it will alert you when I'm going live if you subscribe. And if you like the video, then more people are likely to see it, which would be cool. So that's more of us that get to hang out and chat while I do art. I mentioned my buddy Doug. You should check him out as well. That's Victory Condition Gaming. He has a YouTube channel and does lots of cool gaming content. And I'm on his channel a lot, so you'll get to see my face there on actual plays. Probably more frequently than you care to. I feel like there's supposed to be a texture on this building, but I don't remember what it is, and I don't have my reference picture pulled up right now, so I'm just going to go back and do it later when the stream's over and I can look it up, because I foolishly did not prepare myself for this. Something feels wet there. I keep on starting to put my finger down and being like, eh. And I'm going to darken this doorway up. Actually, in this case, I think I'm actually going to have it be black, just because that'll help with the impact around this figure. I think that might actually be a good plan there. Alright, so I'll get a tiny bit of work done on this panel over here before the end of the stream. But it's actually not too bad for an hour of background work to have gotten this far. This stuff is the most time consuming. Oh yeah, and it's that big shopping weekend, isn't it? Places you can buy my book. The first 3 volumes of Age of Night are available as books, or ebooks, or even just straight PDFs, if that's how you prefer to read your things. PDFs are actually probably the highest quality out of all of them, so if you really want the best fidelity for the images, that's honestly actually the way to go. But yeah, books and ebooks are available on that big site. You know which one it is. The one with all the things. You know which one it is. But there are alternatives to that, which is you can get PDF versions on DriveThruRPG, DriveThruComics, DriveThruFiction. I get a much better cut of the sales there because my publisher there, Skirmisher Publishing, is awesome and very fair. And they have sales going all the time. They'll certainly have sales going on throughout the Christmas season if they don't right now. And you can also order my book from your local bookstore because they can get it and they can sell it to you. And if you want a signed copy of my book, you can order it from my local bookstore, which is the Briar Patch in Bangor, Maine. And if their website says they don't have it, just email them or something, because I can literally walk into the store and hand them more of the book, and then they can send it to you. So that's a pretty good option. And you can even tell them in the email, I said that I will bring it to them. And the owner will roll his eyes and go, okay, fine. Because I'm friends with him, and this is just how things are between us. Mysterious figure entering the tavern. Well, I mean, it's not that mysterious. You know, it's Camarnia, but still. She's mysterious to all these other people in the tavern. It should be a little bit dim because it's inside. So I don't need to be quite as cautious about the texturing. And also the window will be light because there's light coming in from it. All right. Well, that is going to do us. That's just about an hour. So I went from just having some of the straight edge work done for inking on this to now having all the nib work done on the first panel and the second panel, and pretty good start on the third panel. So that'll do it for this week. I will not see you next week, but I should see you the week after. Same time, and I hope to see you all there. Goodbye.